less than 48 hours until the start of Leicester's brand new Premier League campaign, as of course we host Thomas Frank's Brentford on Sunday at the King Power. Brendan Rodgers and his staff will now be looking ahead to the new season, looking at formations and some potential tactics. So today I'll be running through some formations which Leicester could play this term, also the tactics within them formations and who could be the key players for Leicester this Premier League season. I'll also be taking a look at the big headlines from Brendan Rodgers' pre-match press conference ahead of Brentford on Sunday. So yeah, all we discuss, boys and girls, in today's video. So without further ado, here we go. Yes lads, how you all doing? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. The Premier League is back this weekend. The things you love to say. Today we'll be talking about Leicester's potential new lineup for the new season, talking tactics and formations, and overall the Brendan Rodgers master plan. But yeah, just before we get into today's video, boys and girls, drop a like if you're going to enjoy it. Subscribe as well to the channel if you guys haven't already. Most importantly, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Who is going to be Leicester's key players this year and what formations should Leicester potentially go with? So some formations being discussed between Leicester fans at the moment is of course a standard 4-3-3 formation which Leicester have used on several occasions the last few seasons. The 4-2-1-2 formation, which is obviously very interchangeable, and then obviously you have got the back three and the back five type of formations as well. Throughout Leicester's pre-season campaign we did see two different formations being used. Of course the standard 4-3-3 formation, and we did see Leicester using the back five on several occasions. Of course pre-season is usually just for, you know, fitness and getting back into the swing of things, but you know, I can't really see Brendan Rodgers playing a back five just for the point of it. So I think there's definitely a meaning behind that. I think Leicester could potentially be using that formation a few times this season. The first formation though we'll be discussing today is of course the standard 4-3-3 formation. Obviously Leicester have been using this formation for several years, pretty much since Brendan Rodgers has came in at Leicester, and I think that the players are very used to this 4-3-3 system going forward. So this is how I see Leicester lining up in this formation. Obviously in goal with Danny Ward or Danny Leverson, it's up for debate. Obviously the back four there, the fullbacks in particular, very high and wide, also can be narrow going forward on occasions. Of course midfield, you got a very balanced midfield there. Of course you got Wilfred Ndidi in that holding role, you got Tielemans and Dewsbury in the box-to-box roles, and obviously the front three, Barnes, Vardy and Maddison obviously just coming off that right hand side. I think this formation is pretty much the standard formation and the go-to. Honestly, several clubs throughout the Premier League tend to go with a 4-3-3 type of formation, and of course that allows Leicester to match up to the opposition and having a pretty straightforward game plan. The fullbacks in this formation are particularly key. Obviously the one I mentioned earlier has James Justin at left back and Timothy Castagna at right back, and them two are very key, of course defensively, but going forward providing that width and linking up with the wingers and midfielders. And under Brendan Rodgers, that has been a key feature of the Leicester side, with the fullbacks heavily involved going forward, creating chances and providing overloads on the wings to obviously get in behind and get those crosses in and really start to create those chances. Alongside them though, if we do look at Leicester's midfield three, made up here of Wilfred Ndidi, Youri Tielemans and Keenan Dewsbury. Obviously here Leicester have several depth in this type of area. Yeah, starting off with Ndidi, the key man in the side, anchors that team, sits in front of that back four and really allows the rest of the side to push forward, because you know if it's turned over on the counter attack, Wilfred Ndidi is there to clear things up and mop things up for Leicester. And obviously you do have the double pivot of Youri Tielemans and Keenan Dewsbury in there. Obviously there can be a shout of James Maddison playing more centrally, but with the way Leicester are going this year, it's probably going to be Tielemans and Dewsbury who can play in there, obviously if Tielemans does stay throughout the whole season. And that leads me on to a real negative of this formation in my opinion. Obviously Leicester in that right wing slot don't have depth. Obviously there right now are Ayoze Perez and Marco Brighton. Of course Lookman has now officially signed for Atalanta, and here James Maddison is on that right hand side, and for me that does constrict James Maddison slightly, because on that right hand side it's not his natural position, and realistically you want to see James Maddison in that number 10 role, in behind the strikers, and that is where he's most dangerous. However though, this formation could be a very good one for Leicester, because obviously Leicester have been playing this type of formation for several years now. The players know the ins and outs of it, what positions that they need to take up going forward and also coming back as well. So that there and there then is the 4-3-3 formation. To be honest, I could probably see this formation being used most this year, but obviously there is other formations which Leicester could potentially go with. Yeah boys, let me know your thoughts on this formation and these tactics down below. And just before we go on to to discuss these other formations, it's now time to look at the main headlines from Brendan Rodgers' pre-match press conference today, as of course you look ahead to Brentford on Sunday. And as always, boys, it isn't really the best news at all, so yeah, buckle up. Breaking: Brendan Rodgers says Ricardo could be out of action for up to 6 months after rupturing his Achilles. It's a massive blow to him. He was operated on last night, such a shame as he's been strong in pre-season. So yeah, surprise, surprise, another injury for Ricardo Pereira, and I think, this man is just going to go downhill. I feel gutted for him because obviously he comes back from an injury, plays a few games, gets injured, and that process has just repeated itself about 4 times now over the last 2 years or so. So yeah, it's not looking good at all for Ricardo. Rodgers has also confirmed that Harvey Barnes will be out for a couple more weeks with a knee injury. Ryan Bertrand is also out of action for a few more weeks. No other injury concerns in the squad. So yeah, Barnes out for 2 weeks, and obviously it isn't great news, but it could have been a lot worse following that injury against Sevilla. So yeah, hopefully Barnes can come back after a very good pre-season. But obviously this leaves Leicester in a big hole ahead of Brentford on Sunday. We'll get into the formation we could potentially play a bit later, and then obviously in the Brentford preview as well. And a quick bit then on Rodgers on Kasper Schmeichel's exit. I will miss him, the players will miss him. He's a true icon of the club and on off the pitch. A colossal player. He's a good guy off the field too, with his passion of the game and determination to give the service here is immense. But moving on then to the second formation in discussion, it is the 4-1-2-1-2 formation. A very interesting one, but as you can see from here, it looks pretty good on paper. So yeah, if Leicester did go with the 4-1-2 formation, this is how I would line it up. Obviously in goal this time I've gone with Iverson just to mix it up. The back four remains the same of James Justin, Wesley Fofana and captain Johnny Evans, with Castagna at right back. In midfield, a midfield diamond of Wilfred Ndidi, Keenan Dewsbury-Hall, Yuri Tillmans and James Maddison, and 2 up top of Kelechi Iheanacho and Jamie Vardy. And personally, this is the formation I want to see Leicester go with against Brentford. I won't speak about that too much, as of course the match preview for that game will be out tomorrow on the channel ahead of the game. But yeah, this formation is a very interesting one. Another key element of this formation, as you can see, James Maddison playing very centrally in behind those 2 strikers as well. And here, of course, Leicester will be playing that midfield diamond of 1 holding, 2 and then 1 obviously making up the diamond shape. So yeah, and once again here we have got a lot of depth. Obviously we've got Dennis Pratt who could do a job there, Boubakary Samara, you've got Jose Perez who's more suited to a central role, and obviously yeah, I've got lots of Papi Mendy and Hamza Chowdhury in towards that defensive role as well. Based on the lack of out-of-out wingers Leicester really have this year, this could be a formation we see Brendan Rodgers use on a few different occasions. But once again, it's a risky one because we don't really know how Leicester are going to really adapt to this formation, as we haven't really played in it too much. Of course, so it's very interchangeable. We can switch this around, play a bit more defensive and also play a bit more attacking wise as well. So yeah, this formation, in my opinion, I'm a pretty big fan of this formation. And obviously up top, it will give a chance for another striker alongside Jamie Vardy. Of course, here I've gone with Kelechi Iheanacho because I think Iheanacho and Vardy can complement each other quite well. But here, of course, you could see Patson Daka being used a lot more as well. However, one big concern I do have about this formation is defensively, and of course Leicester, like I said, are playing no wingers in this formation, and that could really allow double ups on Leicester's fullbacks, of course, with the winger, and then the fullbacks going forward. Say against Liverpool, Trent and Robertson will be bombing on just down their sides, and that could force the likes of, in this case, Tielemans, who's left of the diamond, Dewsbury, who's right of the diamond, to really push out and obviously help the fullbacks, and that leaves a lot of space in midfield, and it's a big shuffling process because then James Maddison comes back, Iheanacho and Vardy can tuck in as well. So yeah, it's a big one to really do defensively, but it could work if Leicester can get it spot on. So we're going, boys and girls, that is the 4-1-2-1-2 formation summed up right there. So let me know your thoughts on that down below. An interesting one, but personally I'm a big fan of this formation. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. And moving things on then to the final formation we'll be discussing today is of course the 5-3-2 formation. As you can see then, with the side I've gone with here in the example, Daniel Everson in goal, James Justin at left wing back, a centre back pair of 3 off of Fofana, Evans and Sionisha, with Castagna in that right back slot, Wilfred Ndidi holding, Yuri Tillmans and James Maddison, and the 2 strikers of Kelechi Iheanacho and Jamie Vardy. Now for starters, the back 5 can very easily be turned into a back 3, and even in this case it will be a back 3 when Leicester attacks the fullbacks, or the wing backs I should say, bomb up and then really just provide that width from the very attacking. So yeah, it can easily be a back 3. Obviously it can change into a 3-4-3 type of formation, obviously a 3-2-3, which is a bit of an interesting one, but it can definitely change and it's very interchangeable. And obviously this is a formation we did see Leicester use on several occasions this year, particularly in the Hull City game and also in the Derby game, I do believe as well. The obvious difference though is of course the extra centre back in this formation. We stick with Wesley Fofana and Johnny Evans. In this case I've gone with Kagla Sunchi to come into that potential back line. Leicester, of course, do have some depth in this position with, of course, Yannick Vestergaard and Daniel Amate, which obviously isn't the greatest of depth, but there is some depth there for Leicester to do up for this formation going forward. And once again, this offers two strikers up front once again for Leicester, and of course, this could well easily be Patson Daka instead of Vardy, and of course, Daka, Iheanacho, Vardy, and whoever really. Obviously, Leicester have quite good options up top. The obvious thing about this formation, the back five, is obviously that extra defensive stability which Leicester did lack on quite a lot of occasions last year throughout most games really. So yeah, it could help with that. And obviously if you're coming against a big team, say Man City away or Liverpool away, this could be the type of formation you go with to try and sit back, soak up the pressure and look to hit teams on the counter. However though, the big negatives once again of this formation is the track and back process. Obviously in this example there is no wingers, and like I said, in the 4-1-2-1-2 it's going to mean the central midfielders are going to have to push out, and that can leave massive areas in the middle. So it's a case of who do you deal with, the fullbacks or those midfielders. It's a difficult process. So again, boys and girls, that is the back five / back three type of system summed up for Leicester. Some advantages in there, some disadvantages. Obviously there's going to be a disadvantage in every formation, and some of the key roles in there as well. So yeah, as always, let me know your thoughts on that down below. And one final question to you guys in the comment section down below: what is your guys' preferred formation? What formation do you guys think Leicester should play throughout the most of the seasons? Yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. And just before we do wrap things up, obviously some tactical things for Leicester this year. The key thing we need to improve on is obviously set pieces, and if that isn't cleared up throughout the whole year, I'm going to be very annoyed, and something needs to change very quickly on that. So let's hope first 3 games we don't concede. Obviously conceding from a corner, it's going to happen. We're probably going to concede over 5 as a bare minimum, but anything more than 10 I'll be pretty angry. So Leicester, sort it out. And based on last season, the key thing as well is just defensively overall. See, last year we were flooded with injuries, but even so, defensively that needs to improve as well. I think going forward, Leicester created a lot of chances and scored a lot of goals last year. Leicester were actually the 5th most team in the league who scored the most goals, so I think there's no need to really worry about going forward. So I think that's fine, but for me, defensively is a thing which Leicester just need to work on and keep going forward and keep getting those goals, of course, going forward. So again, boys and girls, that is where I'm going to put a wrap on today's video. Obviously a very different video today, as of course we discussed just tactics really, no transfer talk. Obviously a bit of less news in there through the Brendan Rodgers press conference today. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, boys, I know it's a bit different. Drop a like if you have. Subscribe as well to the channel for lots more Leicester content throughout this season, and yeah, hopefully throughout time, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comment section down below. Follow me on my social medias, links will be in the description down below, boys and girls. Of course, lots of content on the way. The Premier League is now back, so yeah, I'm looking forward to watching all the games, and of course Leicester back on Sunday as we take on Brentford. But yeah, I'm Sportsa, and I'll see you guys very soon in my next video. Peace, guys.